Do you have a stack of photos featuring unidentified ancestors? You know they're important, but you just can't place the name or the stories behind the faces. It's frustrating, right? Relatives might hold the answers, but asking them isn't always straightforward, especially if they aren't tech savvy or active on social media. So, how can you bridge the gap and bring those mystery photos back to life? What if there were a simpler, more personal way to gather these answers while creating a keepsake your family will treasure? Here's a simple yet powerful idea. Create printed photo books with space for your relatives to write their insights directly onto the pages. Not only does this make it easier to gather memories and identifications, but you'll also have the added benefit of preserving their handwriting, a priceless family artifact in and of itself. Let's walk through how to make one of these simple books step by step. Start by creating a folder on Google Drive, Dropbox, or your computer titled Unidentified Family Members. Gather a minimum of 15 to 20 photos for the project. The more, the better, even if that sounds wrong. While Chatbooks is a popular option, consider other services like Shutterfly or Mixbook, which also allow for creative customizations and are beginner-friendly. You can also use a resource where you can order books from your Google Photos drive and send it to print. So be sure to check that one out. It might be just what you need. When you're looking for services, you want one that will allow single photos per page layouts. So one photo per page, and then offers space around the image for writing. You also want something that's affordable, that's high quality, and that produces the books quickly and doesn't require a minimum order. Give your book a title like Mystery Faces, Help Us Identify Our Ancestors, or something like that. Keep everything simple. Use, again, the layouts of one photo per page with white space around each image because you want the ability for a relative to flip through the book, recognize a photo, and make some notes. If they need to make a lengthier note, then just give them a piece of paper or something to write their thoughts down. You can also use a voice recorder if you go to a family reunion or a holiday gathering and you take your book along and you see Aunt Susie and she's like, hey, I'll write a note or two, but I just want to tell you the story because it's kind of long. No worries, grab your phone and you can video her, but really you're just trying to capture the voice. So that's another option. Now, in the layouts, is often an ability to put a text box, right? If you have some details about when and where the photo was taken, or just some preliminary guesses, such as perhaps the photo was taken in Ohio in 1930s, you can put a prompt like, I believe this photo was taken in Ohio in 1930. Who are these people? And did it happen in Ohio in 1930, right? You're giving people a little trigger because sometimes people look at a photo and their memory just isn't quite there. But when they see text and words together, they go, oh yeah, I remember this happened. And then it just starts them off. In those caption boxes, you can also put a little prompt like, who do you recognize in these photos? When do you think this photo has happened? So if you have a mystery photo and you know it's Uncle Bob, but you don't know when it happened, say, this is Uncle Bob. When do you think this photo was taken? You can also put a prompt like, what stories or memories does this photo bring to mind? So sometimes the unidentified photo, you know when and where it was taken, and you know who's in it, but you really don't know why. I mean, it's a strange photo. I remember having a photo of Uncle Earl standing on his head beside a dollhouse in the backyard, like a little playhouse for his niece in the backyard, but I didn't know the story. And so in that case, here's Uncle Earl in Aunt Marjorie's backyard when she was a little girl. What do you guys know about this story? Right? So unidentified photos aren't just the ones where you don't know the names, dates, and places. Sometimes you just don't know the story. So feel free to include some of those because that can really get the memory juices flowing with your relatives. Now, when you upload images to your unidentified folder, digital folder, avoid using any low resolution images to print into the book. Now, many of the platforms will say, hey, this isn't going to print well. However, depending on the size of your book, you can actually get away with some lower resolution images because you're printing it smaller and it's good enough for the book. A lot of times the lower resolution images will not look good on a big 8x10 size book or an 8x8. But if you're going for a little smaller, one picture book that's like a 4x6 or a 6x6 or something just really small, like a chapbook, then you can get away with some of those low resolution images. But if the platform's giving you a warning that the quality isn't very good, go ahead and just leave them out. Now, I want you to order several copies of the books to share with family members at reunions or send by mail or just carry around in your bag, and you run into somebody and you share a picture with family friends and whatnot. So the idea is you're going to share these Mystery Faces books at family gatherings or through the mail, like I said, and encourage your relatives to write directly into the books. Write directly on the pages. You already have a good quality picture, digital picture that can be used for other projects. So if they start writing all over the book, kind of like many people did in my generation on our yearbooks, just write on all the pages and the margins across pictures and whatnot, that's totally fine. Encourage them to do that. You're after the stories and any information people have. Keep passing the books on to close relatives, distant relatives, friends of the family, people in the neighborhood. You can be at a genealogy group and maybe you pull out a picture and somebody says, hey, I don't know the people, but I recognize those shoes. Those are Mary Jane shoes. Or I recognize that car. That's a Ford Fairlane. So keep the books with you, keep them active, asking people questions, and you might be surprised what kind of details you can gather from the pictures. When relatives contribute valuable information, be sure to thank them. A thank you often is just enough to get people to share more. So make sure you express gratitude. Whether it's a heartfelt letter or maybe you make a small keepsake to frame photos. Maybe you scan a book and you get all of the faces identified and you send them a better copy, something you invest some time in, you make it a little bit nicer, put pictures together as a group, put documents and stuff. Do something to thank people who contribute to you. Sometimes all you need is just words, and other times you might want to go that extra step depending on how much information they give you. Unidentified photos don't have to stay mysteries forever. With a bit of creativity and a personal touch, you can involve your family in preserving these stories while also creating a memorable keepsake. So, have you ever used similar methods for identifying old family photos? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear your tips and tricks. And if you have completely different strategies on how to get people to talk, let me know those ideas as well. And then, after you've left that comment, go check out this valuable research tip right up here.